Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir El-Azouzi from easymedicaldevice.com. And here we are at the second part of the episode related to the OBL, PLM or virtual manufacturer, and regarding the OEM, which is the original equipment manufacturer. And I still have with me Stefan Bolleininger from Beyond Quality. So Stefan, say again hello to the audience.
Hello, it's nice to hear you again.
So for those that were not here last week, we already recorded a first episode related to the OEM OBL model. And we focused specifically on the OBL model, so the one that is marketing the product. So if you want to hear again this episode, so go to episode number 27. And you will get all the information related to what is first this model, the OEM and OBL model, what exactly the OBL should do. I'm really confused now with all those terms. So OEM, OBL, PLM starts to be confusing. But I hope the audience is not confused about that because really it's clear. It's really simple. Now let's focus on the OEM, so original equipment manufacturer. So this is mainly the manufacturer of a product, and this product will be delivered to the OBL who will market it, if I can say. So Stefan, we have made, as I said, we have put our hat for PLM or OBL in the previous episode. So now let's put the hat of OEM and say we are the OEM. So what exactly we should do within the new medical device regulation and the in vitro diagnostic regulation to still continue business, because this is mainly the objective, is to continue to sell our products. So what should we do? So can you help us on that?
Yeah, with MDR, the system for the OEM changed drastically mathematically, because, well, in the past, the OEM was the manufacturer. So OEM was the head of device. And now with MDR, the OEM will be a producer. It will be a designer, a developer of a device. And the responsibility, as we told last week, it was split up into now more details needed for the OBL or the PLM. So now as an OEM, I need to decide, do I still want to CE mark my devices? Because, well, if I don't have my business as I'm selling directly to customers, if I have a direct business, I need my CE mark. If I not have a direct business, but go to OBLs and PLMs and virtual manufacturers, then the CE mark is no longer really necessary. It is good if I have it, but if not.
So mainly the CE mark on the MDD model, so on the MDD Medical Device Directive, was the practices that we had for the OEM. So they had their CE mark for their products. And then the OBL is using the CE mark to say that the product is compliant because it's that. Now it's not needed anymore. It's good, as you mentioned, it's good to have it. But if we don't have it, if they don't have it, or if their CE mark expire, it's not a problem, because now the CE mark, if I can say, is specifically on the OBL party.
Yes, it's the duty of the other hand. Yeah. And but in the construct, it's for me, if I'm on the OEM side, my CE mark is still valuable because I have sent a reliable documentation and I get my documentation checked regularly by a notified body. That is good for me if I want to produce high quality devices for my OBL and my PLM. So it is different in sometimes a painful check from a different party. That's good and that's bad. But now I need to focus on my OBL and my PLM or my virtual manufacturer to deliver them the documentation they need. Because now, as we had last week, they need to have control about the technical file, and they need the technical file available. And I don't give it. As an OEM, I don't give everything to them, but I prepare as we said last week, the stat file, a summary, to give them the approach what I can deliver for them on the documentation and what I have. So I don't want to get fully naked, but I want to ensure that my OBL PLM has all documentation that they can deliver devices to market in a compliant way. So that is the way I need to go towards the MDR, and I need to make sure that I have the OEM have best efforts taken into compliance for me.
So as you mentioned, so the OEM is not getting necked and has some issues because I think the biggest issue or the biggest concern for the OEM is to say, if I give information to the PLM or the OBL, so mainly they can start to make business with me, but they can get all those information and go to another manufacturer, another OEM, if I can say, to produce the same product. So this is mainly the risk that everybody is raising now. Is it correct?
Yeah, you can see it that way, but you must not have to say it that way, because even as an OEM, you have your specifics, you have your knowledge, and you're more a supplier of knowledge than a supplier of devices. And the knowledge cannot be transferred so easily from one company to another. We have seen it with, 20 years ago in the medical device manufacturing sites, we have seen plenty of devices who go to cheaper countries, to cheaper sites. It does not work correctly. It works if you train them sufficiently. So the PLM or the OBL, even if he has the complete information and understands all the kind of information, they need to have someone who can rebuild that kind of information. And that's hard. That is in most cases hard. And so, it is easier to be on the OEM and rely on the OEM if my OEM does not make too much trouble for me. And that what I'm doing is preparing the OBL or the PLM with giving them sufficient information to ensure that they are compliant. See, they need to have, as we said last week, they need to have their general safety and performance requirements to be done on their side anyway. But I'm not anymore a manufacturer for selling their devices completely, but I'm then as an OEM a solution provider. I provide them their solution for creating the production with UDI codes on their demands. I'm creating the documentation on their demands, what they need, for example, clinical evaluation, risk management files, specific adaptations of the devices. I'm more a supplier with design, development, and production. And that is also very, very valuable. It's not about always having full control about a product, but it is also in the direction, what can I deliver and what do I want to deliver? And then as an OEM, I go and take in the past, it was for the Global Harmonization Task Force, and now the EMDRF, the stat file. That is a commonly used approach, how to strip down the required information to someone who needs to get into compliance. It's a summary. It's not the full documentation. It's only the summary where I can find which kind of information, how do I get to that information, and what are the struggles during the system. Clinical evaluation, risk management file, something like that, and also intended purpose, intended use. Okay. When I'm a OEM and my OBL asks me, okay, can you prepare information about which are the documents you used in your medical device file? Yeah, clearly I can. I'm an ISO 13485 supplier. So I have my medical device file. So I have a list of all documentations required. So easy part checked. Second part, okay, you have the product on your own as you have been your manufacturer by yourself. Do you have a clinical evaluation? Yes, but because without a clinical evaluation, I would not get to market and I would not get towards my OBL support them. These are informations I can share with them at no cost. Well, at no cost for me, at no effort, but at a bit of cost for the manufacturer, really. And I can say, okay, as a solution provider, I give you my clinical evaluation. The information on it is a comparison, it's a documentation. The effort is the time you needed to create it. The effort is not the documentation to get all this kind, to make sure that you have this information, but you compile it. So it's only an effort of time.
And I suppose, as I said, for the clinical evaluation report, so mainly, as you mentioned, so we have all the characteristics of the product, because even as PLM or as OBL, we know about the product, we know about the intended use, we know about the characteristic of the product, etc. And as you mentioned, it's a compilation of documents, so it's just literature. So you go to databases that are existing, so PubMed or others that are existing and that are just saying, here is the and you try to find products that are equivalent to your product to make a comparison, to say my product is fine because it's the same as this product, which is fine. So then, as you mentioned, it's public data. It's not like something that's a secret. I think the only secret can be if it's about clinical data, clinical investigation that the OEM will be doing, I suppose.
Yes, and then here comes a different catch. Because when I have a clinical evaluation and the data from a clinical evaluation, I need as a OBL, as a PLM, also this kind of information that I have a comparison from my product, this product to this product. That's quite easy. And that will be in addition into the contract. However, if it's not the case, if it's not an investigation needed, it's just by literature route, it's public available information, now nothing which is very special, and we can deal with it quite easy. So for that, I will prepare everything which I want to have in my documentation and deliver it towards to my OEM, OBL, that they can have this kind of documentation check to make state compliance, that state for me that I am compliant with the information I give them, and they can state the compliance towards notified body. So what does that mean? Once I'm on the OEM topics, I need to ensure that my team, my persons, are highly qualified, because they are the ones who are responsible not only for my product, but also for products for other companies. So I don't have only my personal business risk, I have also the business risk of another company, which they also can claim to me. So I need to make sure that I'm a good solution provider, which ensures everything possible to make more than one business at the same time. That is now the new challenge of the OEM, not that they get certified, but that they can handle the certifications of different companies at the same time and handle a high qualified team and a high qualified structure between brand A, brand B, brand C. And that is something which is also valuable, but you need to change your business model. And you can do that. And that is also the structure, what you have in the past, quality assurance agreements, and what we also discussed in the last week. That's always the same. That's no rocket science. But getting your change from what MDR always said, oh no, there won't be any OEM OBL business, to be a solution provider, go to the solution and dig into your company structure to make sure that it's available for a highly structured OEM. That is core value, and that is a new approach of it.
So yeah, it's clear that if you sit on that way, say the OEM is really in the center, and he's connecting with a lot of PLM that have the same challenge, if I can say. So you can sell one. I mean, there is one SKU, one product. You can sell this version to many PLM. They just put their name on it, if I can say, but at the end you have to provide nearly the same documentation to everybody. So it's not like you are customizing for this one or this one, but at the end it's exactly the same normally.
Exactly, except there's one little thing, and that deals with labeling and UDIs.
True.
This is information you can tackle, and that's why I personally, with the OEM, built for each of my clients, we built up a different stat file with that information, because of the following. We will give them also the needed amount of information from the risk management side, that they have sufficient information about risk measurements and risk controls to convince their notified party everything's clear. And the specifics for the devices may be different, because I have a new label introduced and a new kind of labeling with a new symbolics or new warnings or something like that, what are specific demands of my customers, and I will put that completely into one topic, and this will be needed for me to ensure, and that's why they all get their own stat file. And by that way, I have also the complete check for a specific product for my client to make sure that they can have their medical device file and their possibility to get all information for the regulatory bodies. So that makes it easy for me in the following way, because once a notified body, once the auditor comes to me, I go to with that file I sent to my client, I go to my data center, data control, whatever of document control system you use, or plain paper, and pull out everything which is on the list. I pull out everything which is on the list and look at it and say, okay, which kind of the information is needed for me? And that is also, now there is a specific step. If I would be a normal manufacturer, I would have everything that, wow, that's all I need. That's fine. That's perfect technical documentation. I give it to my notified body. And now, once I'm an OEM, I say, okay, so this is the information I have for a specific product, because that's on the stat file with all the appendixes and the documentation. And now I mask out everything which is intellectual property, which I really need to rely on. Okay. So what my new design transfer from the mind to the OEM is that I have a whitelist and a blacklist. For documentation, they can have it full, and documentation where I can say, oh, they get, a few things. And that's also from their perspective in line with the MHRA documentation from 2017 with a virtual manufacturer, which says, okay, you can black out and blank list a few of the informations you are really rely on. Make sure that a notified body can read it, and with that, and once he gets that information, and everything else which is really intellectual property which belongs to you, you can also make sure that nobody can see it. So that's fine. That's a very good acceptable way, and to be honest, that's pragmatic. So that means, as an OEM, I have my stat file. Beyond my stat file, I will be beyond that stat document. I have the blacklist file, which I need to make sure that, okay, if I need to show this kind of documentation, this is my index, what I will not want to show, which I stroke out on demand if they need to do it. Or when you have to be specifically carefully. Everything else is no problem, and on that deal of things, we need to tackle them in private. And there also, as an OEM, I simply can say, okay, once I build good products and I make sure that I am compliant, I have no problems to open up my doors for inspectors and auditors.
Yeah, no, it's clear.
But, yeah,
the idea mainly is trying to be transparent on what is the regulator is looking for, but try to keep your secrets, and you have the rights to do that. It's intellectual property, so you have the rights to do that. But as we said, so the OEM will be in the center, and he has to deliver a lot of PLMs. Before, he was hiding himself behind the CE mark certificate, just to say, I have my technical file, and we have a notified body, is reviewing my file, everything is fine, I'm hiding behind that, so it's okay. And the PLM was using that. Now, as this is kind of not working anymore, or it should work, but it's better to keep it. But if I can say it's not working anymore in terms of state documents, you have to build a state document for each of the PLM. So you have to archive them, you have to version them, there is a change in terms of the organization of the OEM. I suppose they have to or hire new people or have a better database, or I don't know, but it looks like it will start to be more complicated for them to remind themselves what exactly they showed to this one, what the other one asked, what was the problem in the market for this product, but maybe it's not the same problem that we solve from this product because different usage. I don't know, but it will be the central point, and they will have maybe to invest more time, more money in terms of organization to be really confident.
Yes, Because that is your information you rely on. That is everything which is your business. So you make sure that you have the right resources for the OEM to have everything under control. There are plenty of things for databases, how you can transfer the documentation and what is the documentation. For example, there's the easiest one for the smallest OEMs. It's called Excel.
Okay.
That is the easiest documentation we can use. Yeah, you can create a full stat file within Excel. It's no problem if you deal with it correctly. One of my students had that as a bachelor, for his bachelor degree. He created a stat file generator by Excel. What was quite cool, because you simply create your folder with a structure, and then the Excel gets everything together and aligns it, so then it works out. And then once you have the first one, you get the second customer, you shift to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. Every steps again, and that is all you need to do on it. So yeah, but you need to make sure that you have the correct data and the right data with the expected quality for the regulatory bodies available, and everything else you have the right to ensure that is only intellectual property for you.
But it's also, all this will be also showing professionalism if you have this structure, this organization, because the PLM will be more confident. He can know that you will provide, as we mentioned on the previous episode, so showing to an auditor another version of a state document when the PLM has another version also. So it's like an issue here. We have a disconnection. Maybe they didn't inform you about a change that happens, so that you cannot update your file, etc., etc. So this connection, this trust, this collaboration between the OEM and the PLM is really key for both. It's a win-win situation. They have to be both on the same boat, so it's working. Not like being suspicious or this or that. So it's also something that they have to build together.
That is correct, because the OEM alone won't brings the device into market, and the PLM also does not get it. So they need to collaborate, and the OEM as a central point between many virtual manufacturers, many PLMs, the central point needs to ensure that they have a very strict and very good databases for specific devices. And yeah, the effort that's the effort, but the qualification of the data center is a very crucial thing. However, if you are a normal manufacturer and have everything in your own plant and have a few sites or selling sites or affiliates or whatever you call it, you have the same issue, because you need to rely on the data center where your technical documentation is in. If you cannot rely on it, yeah, you're out of the business. So now, as an OEM, you are the data center for specific affiliates, or we call it virtual manufacturers. And with this one, in this data center, you need to make sure that you can control it. And that has a price. Controlling has a price. So that's what I said. As an OEM, you change from I have my own certificate and sell you the devices and you just rebrand it into I am your solution provider as an OEM, and I want to make business with you. And that is the difference. And that difference needs to be tackled.
Yeah, and so related to this collaboration between the OEM and OBL, on the last episode we talked about a few things. We talked about the audit, where the OEM can also interact during an audit to show to the notified body that they are compliant, and the audit, if I can say, directly in the plant. So the notified body can come and do the audit in the plant. How should an OEM be prepared for that? How should they prepare themselves for both situations?
Okay. With your OBL or PLM or virtual manufacturer, you have your agreement how you want to technically transfer for a case for an offsite audit. That will be that you need one who has control and a good mind to the documentation and takes that information into some kind of screen sharing, like we are doing now with Zoom, or other people are doing with Skype for Business, or whatever you are using. You can use. For me personally, I like open meetings very much. Since the newest version, it's quite fine. But that is completely depending on what you have as infrastructure. As an OEM, I would say that you should have at least one possibility to share documents outside, at least one with FTP access or something like that to show a big amount of documentation. And on the other hand, that I have a screen sharing possibility. That is something which I always would prepare, that I have at least one person available who could do that within a very short time to support my customer. That's support of my customer if they got audited and I need to support them. And that's also something which you can say in your agreements and say, okay, normally they won't audit you in a time frame every 3 or 5 years. If you have one audit per every 3 years, that's fine. If you have more than one audit day in 3 years, the second day costs you the following. So you can also make a decision on it, how you want to make sure that this information is brought to you and how it is really prepared. That's a price. There's a price tag.
Exactly.
And
and mainly the other also thing is the fact that we say, yes, you can be contacted by an auditor, but in case, for example, your OEM is in China and you are in Europe, the time difference can also be a problem. So you have also to plan that. Maybe it's not like just calling them in the afternoon when you know that it's maybe 3 a.m. for them. So
yeah, most cases I have seen that everyone, if you see, okay, yes, that is my OEM, that OEM is in China, the auditor accepts that and says, okay, good, let's make a time frame within the next 3 days.
Yeah.
And say, this is my thing. We are all humans.
Yeah.
If you don't get to the auditor, it gives the auditors the impression that you want to hide something. The auditor is also open-minded to you and tells you, okay, we can deal it in that or that way. That's possible. If he thinks that you hide something and you want to buy time, then I would not say can demand on the heavy quite quickly. Currently, what I have heard from the most notified bodies I've spoken with, they say, okay, 4 hours is a sufficient way to have the information available. It's not like FDA 5 minutes, it's 4 hours. And they, okay, that's fine. I can live with it. And that is a normal time from when I'm in China, I get the information from India. When I'm in India, I get the information, well, not so good from Germany, but mostly, and the information is normally not called in the late night at 6 o'clock in the evening or in the early morning on 8 o'clock, but mostly so at lunchtime or between 10 and 12 o'clock, and then you can split up the next 4 hours. And if you know about that, you get audited and you know, that could be that kind of product, then as an OBL, you go to your OEM and say, could you please prepare someone I want to call?
And it's key, as you mentioned, it's key also I think it will not be an announced audit, it will be an announced audit, if I can say. So you know that the audit will be these days. So it's also important that the PLM is contacting the OEM and to say to them, during that date we will be audited, so we may contact you, so please be ready to answer questions, and we'll try to connect with you as much as possible to tell you what's happening or what kind of question they have, so we can prepare documentation. Because as we said, the idea is to make the notified body confident, so that we are not hiding anything. So if we can have this good collaboration between the OEM and PLM, then they can provide documents quicker, know exactly what we are asking them, and not try to just provide some documents that are not answering at all the questions. So this is, I think, also for them.
Yes. Yeah, there is also some things, if you just rely on email or something like that, then you get documents you won't have to do it, because they are not the ones you fulfill your needs. So that's why I want direct contact, and I'm a consulting. I have a consulting company, and me or my colleagues, we have also contacts with Singapore, China, or India. Once we have one of our clients has an audit there, mainly they call us, and would it be possible that one of you is available during our audit timeframes that we can call if something happens? We say, okay, yes, we are consultants. That's our job, to be available for you as a customer. So, okay, we prepare ourselves, and well, it happens sometimes that I get a call at 3 o'clock in the night in Germany that I need to answer a few of the questions. But okay, then you get the call, they call you on a mobile phone, per WhatsApp or whatever. You say, hey, give me 30 minutes, then I'm on the video call. and that's it. And that's the information. As an OEM, you're not selling any more devices, but you sell a solution as a full package.
I agree
and
with
that package needs Zacker and so you have as said, from the OEM, from the OBL or PLM perspective, you have an organization organization demand which you need to combine and collaborate for audits, for technical file transfer, for documentation control, which is more hard for you as an OEM now in future, and then you have your technical information about your product, which you need to deliver, where you need to know what is your intellectual property and what is public domain, which you can transfer to the customer and in no time. So that is your need, and you change from I get myself certified and everyone else has no problems to, well, everyone needs to get certified and they want me to solve their problems.
Exactly. No, it's clear. So we made the point where the auditor audits the PLM, but what should an OEM do when he knows that the auditors are coming to him to visit the plant and to audit them? So is there some advices for them?
Yes. It's the same as once you get audited, you prepare yourself. You get a preparation room for it. You have your documentation available. And that is what I mean with my blacklist. I have my blacklist, what the auditor will not see from me.
Okay.
This is the things which I have on I have my stat file with my whitelist, which everything he wants, he can get at no problems. He get everything. And then I have the information which is confidential, which he shall not see. That is also in line with the MHRA or also with current discussions with notified bodies, because, well, even auditors don't understand everything from your product. So it's sometimes not a big problem if you have blacklisted and blacked out some of the informations they want to see. What they need to see is that you are compliant. And you always together with the OBL, that you are as a one single contact, you are compliant. That is what they need to see. So if you close out a few of the things, like for me, is for example, software algorithms. If you have specific algorithms they don't see, well, I'm pretty sure even if they would see them, they would not get anything with you because algorithm, that's complex by definition. So, okay, so they don't get that information, but they can state the compliance because I have my own information, how I check compliance by verification, validation, and by the documentation of it. They can see these documentations, but they don't get every details. That is also fine. And when I prepare myself as an OEM for the audits, it's the same as I got the audit from the notified body in the past. They come, they look in the documentation, they look into my quality management system and the organizational contract between the OEM and the PLM. And very, very important, they will need to ensure that we together ensure the complete Article 10 with the obligations of the manufacturer, and that we need to ensure that we have the person responsible for regulatory compliance completely in place. It's more or less on the OBL side. However, it's also good to have one on the OEM side, because this is the person who ensures I have seen that my quality agreement on the one side and my documentation on the other side are good. And I have everything in place, every procedure and any kind of information transferred from left to right to make sure it's everything sufficient and available. And so even if I would not have the direct need, if I don't certify myself against MDR, I would, as an OEM, install, let's call it person responsible for regulatory compliance light, because I don't have the registration business, but I want someone who checks my technical file, which I send in an abstract towards my clients. This job is an important job because it's a strip down between everything I have to that is the least needs the manufacturer has to my customer has to make sure that he is compliant. That is a role. That's a good role and an important role for the OEM. And this person can defend your technical documentation in every audit, because this person knows about what happens in every step. because it strips it down to the manufacturer and knows everything else which is not stripped down or pushed out from the stat file because of intellectual property or because it's not needed.
No, it's clear. And so if we have two main advice, then it's to keep your CE mark as an OEM, which can be a good security. It's not needed, but maybe it can be a good security. So you are really confident that your technical file is always good and always compliant. And hire a PRRC. So it can be a full-time employee, or it can be a consultant that should be continuously available for any issue. So that you are really secured and you are really the solution provider, as you mentioned, for your PLMs, because we have to switch now to say that we are providing a solution and helping the PLM to be certified. And when you, as you said, when before we are just helping ourselves to be certified, now we are helping the PLMs to be certified, which is exactly that. So, is there something else that we are missing here with the OEM part?
If there's something what we are missing, well, yes. Now with the new OEM PLM procedures, you have more stakeholders to address. You have the stakeholder with a competent authority and notified body of the client. You have your own, and you have your client, and you have maybe something with your customers from or end users also, and you have UDAMED where you can rely on, depending what you do on collaboration. That is a very good point. We created in the preparation of this meeting today, we created a little slide which will be downloaded on your website to make sure that we have everything, every line included and everything is pointed out in the correct way, where all the stakeholders are involved and how they can proceed. Yeah, and well, from that point, do I miss something? We have our technical documentation, we have the alignment to collaboration instead of product creation. These are the main parts.
I think it's really complete. And as you've said, you have created an infographic where it shows really this circle between the OEM, the PLM, what are all the documentation needed in the middle, so that people really understand the full picture. So I will put anyway this document in the show notes, that people can download it, and I really advise people really to download it, because it really summarizes all what we just said on the two episodes, so the previous one and this one, where we are talking about mainly the PLM or OBL or virtual manufacturer and the OEM in the other side, which will really help you to not miss anything and not miss any information, to be compliant and to answer all the questions of your notified body, of your competent authority, and also to keep a good and strong relationship between the OEM and the PLM, because I think this is the key of what we heard during those two episodes. Is merely that this collaboration, it's a win-win situation. One should help the other and the other should help the first one. So they continue to make business. Is it correct?
Yeah, absolutely. If you tackle the new challenge with the MDR correctly with your OEM and PLM part, then it is a very, very good business. If you think what you're not allowed to do now is to wait and relax and say, okay, it's not my business anymore, because your business is now collaboration. And that's a key thing. And as we've seen it in the past, you need a contract for how you deal with it. You need to make sure that you have the right person and the right availability on your complete track, and also everything which you are needing for ensure your client certification, your client's compliance. That is your main key thing. But I'm pretty sure I missed something. I've had one sentence now in my mind, which I completely lost, unfortunately.
It's okay. It's okay. Anyway. So I think for the two episodes, it was really interesting. I would really recommend to people, if they have more questions, maybe they can put also some comments on the video that will be on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Don't forget also to subscribe to the YouTube channel and put comments if you have really some questions. Or you can also put the comments directly on the web page on podcast.easymedicaldevice.com, where the episode is showing up. So put your comments. And as soon as you have the comments, I will contact Stefan and ask him to try to answer them and to help you to be more compliant. Or at the end, you can directly call Stefan, contact him directly, so he can help you to be compliant. So is it correct, Stefan? They can reach out to you.
Yeah, sure. Best possibility is by LinkedIn, because I answer LinkedIn within the next, always in a few hours. So it's quite easy for me. And but I'm pretty sure I missed out one single spot. I don't get it anymore.
It will remain with you the whole day, and then you call me.
Yeah, it's
pretty
sure.
It's great. So, Stefan, thank you very much for this time, for your valuable time, for all the information that I think a lot of people were, there was a lot of questions regarding this topic. So I think now a lot of people can relieve and know exactly what they should do, if I can say. And anyway, I will put all your details on the show notes so that people can contact you directly. So don't forget when you contact Stefan to tell him that you come on my behalf. So that he knows that this episode is really valuable. And please also don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. This is really helping me. Don't forget also to provide some reviews if you like really what I'm doing on this podcast. So you can go to iTunes, you can go to Google Podcasts if you have more Samsung iPhone or those Android iPhones, or you can also go to Spotify, and then you can just put a review, just a 5-star review if you really like what I'm doing, so that the show can also get in front of more people. So I really thank you for your support, Stefan, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you, Monir. Have a nice day as well. And thank you for being the part.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.